All right, and so this is the second Dragon League game we're looking at, Sunship versus Ryujigo Zenith. Let's go ahead and see how this one goes. See what happened here. Okay, I'm not going to say that this is bad. I'm not going to say anything is particularly wrong with this, but I want to teach people really good habits, and I really want to people to understand. I I think that I think players have enough players telling them that it's good to play basic. And they're right. It is great to play basic. I support the idea that keeping the game simple is great. But I do want players to understand because obviously everyone wants to get better, they want to improve, and I want to be able to share uh, how the upper level looks at games past a basic level. Um, and so this might feel fine for white, and it is fine, but you are losing points here. And the reason you're losing points as white is because you're not being efficient. Um, you are not expected to get any of these points right away. Even if you made this extension here, you're not going to get points between this area until you add another move. So like let's say black plays somewhere else, we would have to play another move here to really get any value out of this. And there's an argument to be made that we're not really gaining these as points because if black just plops a stone down here, we've pretty much almost lost a lot of what we were trying to gain. Um, so we kind of require two moves here to really get any value out of this. And even then, I would rather play something like this because I'm more likely to get more value in the corner than I am to get between these two stones here. Um, so when we play this giant jump like this, that's on the star point, we're being very inefficient with our groups. And it's the same with Sanrinsai. That's why this Sanrinsai has fallen out because we're being very inefficient as we're not really gaining anything between these two areas. And again, I want to emphasize that I'm not saying that you can't play this way. It is a nice basic way to play, especially if you like playing Sanrinsai or if you really, really like playing this way. But I do want to make sure that the people that watch the video and the players that played this game do understand that they are losing efficiency. And while this is acceptable now, if you want to reach a much, much higher level, a lot of players you play at the top level or even at the mid dawn level or the low dawn level, those players will punish you for doing this kind of thing. Um, it's better to make an approach or 2-3-3 or even just play a simple enclosure like this. You're going to get more value out of a very basic enclosure like this than you are going to get out of playing something like this. It's a very tight move. You're getting value in your corner, as to where this is just kind of out in the center, and you don't really know where you're going to get that value from yet. When my opponents, in particular, play this shape, um, I hate approaching. I am not much of an approacher when it comes to approaching kind of this shape here. Um, I like playing the enclosure. I like keeping the game as simple as possible. And if my opponent does the same thing, then I take the other one. I prefer when my opponent approaches. But approaching is also an acceptable option. So black chooses to play this extension here. And I'm going to extend that same thing to black. It's more efficient to play here. But I do really like this shape. This is one of my favorite shapes that I used to play with all the time 10 years ago. I think it's a fine shape still. But again, it is inefficient comparatively to just approaching. I see this a lot. I see this actually so much at a DDK to low SDK level. Um, we generally don't want to play high unless we're approached. That or we have supporting stones. It's better when we're playing a low enclosure with a high move. So let me put it like this. Now, I don't want anyone to exactly play like this, but just as an example, if we have a high stone here, then we like low stones. So let's say it's white's turn again, and now we're trying to think where we want to go next as white? Well, our next move, we want it to be high because we've got a low stone here. But let's just, for the sake of the example, we're going to go one stone. Now, this isn't a good move. This is too close. We would definitely want to be a little bit further. But for the sake of the example, we've got a low stone, a high stone, and then we go into a high stone again, right? And then it's our turn again. We go into a low stone. We go again. We go into a high stone. And this is the kind of idea that we want. That's not to say that the high is all the high low is always the best, but that's a very solid way to build a base. Of course, we would rather look into something more like going here, and then having a low stone off of that, which is much better, or a low stone on this side, and this would be a better shape. But high is acceptable, at least. Black approaches the corner. 3-3 is also acceptable here. We're going to go ahead and speed up a little bit. I'm definitely preferring black right now. I like the kick. I think the corner is really good for us. Good base. I think that because white has this high stone here, I would almost want to be a little bit more aggressive. I think you should just go directly into the corner like this. If white tries to fight it off, then we can just go ahead and take their corner. Because normally they have the stone here, and it feels a little bit rougher. But because it's higher, I would almost want to go a little bit deeper. Because when we go into this shape, we're giving white some really thick, high territory. Like they're not just getting, kind of like this. They're getting like this, right? And it works really well with this lower stone over here. And so they're going to end up getting a lot of value out of this. And we definitely want to try to prevent that if we can. Because if we go like here and we just come back here, you can already see that we're already dealing damage to what was already 3 or 4 lines of territory, right? I think we should more play a little bit tighter. I think this has a lot of holes in it, and I think the problem is that white can Tanuki here, as in white can play somewhere else. I don't like this move in particular, but I do think that white can play here or even just here or something else, and white would already be in a happy position. But white can also do this if they'd like, just building up that third line territory. So I would almost want to play a little bit tighter. That, or we can even do ourselves and kind of try to invade the left side. But this is also pretty aggressive, and you might get split here. So it's very hard for black to play here. I don't like this, though. It kind of fixes white's weakness immediately. We kind of allow them to fix right away, especially if we're going to Tanuki. If we're going to play this and then Tanuki, then we've definitely done something wrong here. We definitely want to try to shoulder hit and make some value out of these stones here. Very weird that we would Tanuki here. It kind of looks like we had an idea and then we just didn't want to follow it up for some reason. So we'll go ahead and speed up here. Oh my, this is a mess. Okay, so it looks like black just didn't know the Joseki. So normally what ends up happening, I'm going to show the Joseki. I don't know how much I recommend playing this Joseki in your games, but basically the idea is that you would go here. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, no, nope, because it didn't go this way. Right. So what you're actually supposed to do is you're supposed to Atari here as black, and then you go down, white goes here, and then black has some choices. They can do this into this. And then normally as white, we would want to make an extension here like this. But black does have a stone there, which means we're going to have to do something a little bit different. And we would kind of look into this shape as white. Now, to ask if it's good for black to play here versus here. It's definitely good for black to play this way. Because we are keeping white's shape thin, they're not really gaining any points here. Um, and so at this point, we can take Sente as black. And I would actually go back and hit this stone here and be like, hey, I'm surrounding you. I want one less issue, right? Because we are keeping white here without really any value of the stones. Um, and that's kind of the punishment that white is going to get because they went ahead and attached here instead of kind of going off of this. It's better for us to try to run with this first before we kind of try to do this thing. But let's go ahead and speed up. Let's see what happened. Because it looks like this is very good for white. This is very bad for black. We do not want to do this. Not unless we're going like this, maybe. And this is complicated in its own right. But we definitely don't want to play here and end up kind of losing, allowing white to live here in a really good way. Like, this is a very solid way for white to live. Black does get a little value out of here. But this position for black is really similar to, let's say, white Tanukis. It's really similar to this, right? So if you think about it this way, black isn't getting a lot of value. They are getting value. Obviously, there's a lot of strength here. There's a lot of strength with this group now. But it was kind of already black's area, and white's getting something out of this to give you that a little bit of extra strength that you would have already had if you had just added a third stone. Okay, I think it's an okay way to split. Black has to run out. We can't, there's no way to split these two white stones. I would almost be tempted to actually lean in this direction really quick to see if white will respond here. I think it's hard to kill off this one stone here. And I'm more worried about this group. Like, I'd rather treat this group lightly, this stone lightly. If I can't save it now, whatever. Whatever. At least I'm only losing one stone. I'm only losing a small part of the board. But yeah, this is... Okay, so black ended up... Oh, no, they didn't end up connecting under. Okay, I was going to say we can also do this if we want to keep them disconnected. But black is right, or white is right. This does disconnect black. Black does not have the liberties to play this way. Good job on white. Very hard game for black now. So black feels they need to invade because they're behind. But I would argue that the game is very tough at this point for black. We're going to run into a lot of issues running with this group. Black has to come out. We can't actually do this. White should surround. White should surround these stones. These stones can't live. There's no way to make two eyes. If they play here, we can play here because these are captured. And if they play here, we can poke the eye out. And then we can just go back here. There's not really any way for black to make two eyes. It's just going to die. Two lights. This is too easy for white. Our black, we want to play here. Poke their eye and then surround. Again, they have no way to live inside. And they can't really run out. We have so much strength on the outside. All right, let's go ahead and speed up. Oh, does white die down here? Okay, so let's see what white might have done wrong. Okay. Oh no, because black's surrounded as well. Okay, I think that's fine. I just want to be able to offer the option that white can also play here. So let's say we can't surround this black group. However, it does seem like white knew that they could surround this black group, so I'm not going to say it's a bad decision by white. But if we are looking to get out, this attachment is fine. This would be a way if we wanted to kill it. Yeah. Yeah, so black can't really do much here. Unfortunately, even if they were to play here to make the second eye, there's no way for them to win this Liberty race. And then white can even just come back here and make the second eye and not even have to kill this. I would definitely say this game is over. This game is very over. Well, let's go ahead and speed up, see if anything changes. Black ended up dying here as well. Yep, so I would want to come back here as well, make life with this. I think it's very hard for black to kill this, though. Unfortunately, when white pokes here, it's going to be very easy to make an eye up in here, and then it's going to be very easy for white to make an eye on the second line. I wouldn't even lean. I wouldn't even lean. I would just make life and say, hey, I'm alive here. Hey, the game is over. I'm alive. It's done. Um, but yeah, so I think that I actually thought the opening again for this game, I thought Black played well in the opening. I think things were going really well up until this point when White decided, hey, I'm going to fight you. Um, and I think Black probably handled this fight not in the best way. I would almost be tempted to just connect up here. I would want to stay connected up. And if White cuts through here, hey, hey, it's whatever. We'll go ahead and just go out with the stone. And if they connect here, fine. We're giving up the 2 stones down there, or we can even go back and save them. But I don't want us to get cut here. I think that a lot of why we lost as black went towards us getting cut here. I mean, obviously there was lots of death, but I think that in general was a huge part of why we lost, especially when we got to this position here where we kind of made ourselves into um, a very strange position. It would be way better for us to go back into this and just take our corner. And I think that's another thing that made this game very hard for black. Um, as for white, as for white, I think white played actually quite well this game. For the exception of the opening, but I'm not going to say there was, again, I'm not going to say there was anything wrong with the opening. As I mentioned earlier, even though these are playing center and side or play the star point as a third move immediately, um, can be really slow. I don't think it's a game loser. I think white played this really well also, and then played this fight. Yeah. Yeah, I think white played really well this game. Yep. All right.